Hey everyone, welcome back to Sgcarmart Reviews. So this is a car that I think most people will be very familiar with, at least by its name. So this is the new generation Honda HR-V, as is quite obvious by the way it looks. But the one that I'm driving today is a little bit different as well because this is the hybrid variant. So before we get into today's review, did you know that you could be losing up to $5,000 in value when you trade in your car? So if you are looking to buy something like this, you should sell your car with Quotz. Quotz uses its network of dealers to get the best price possible for your car. In fact, they're so confident in getting you the best price possible that if you sell your car for a better price, they will give you $100. Don't just take our word for it, look at the hundreds of raving reviews on their service. To find out more, visit quotz.com.sg. That's QUOTZ.com.sg. Now, let's get back to the review. The bold exterior design of the new generation HR-V is headlined by this frameless front grille, as well as these slim DRLs and LED headlights. And I think, overall the crisp, sharp lines of the car is a very stark departure from the previous generation model. And personally, I like it better. I think it's more distinctive, more eye-catching, and I think there is more visual presence, right? It makes the car look a little bit bigger than it actually is. If we look at the side of the car, again, I do like the really sharp horizontal lines and the kind of squared off profile of the car, right? I think it makes the car look a little bit bigger in size. And of course, this is a HR-V, so you still have your door handle in this slightly interesting position. Now, if you go check out the back, at the rear, I do like this light strip that runs across the entirety of the car. It's quite a distinctive look, right? Now, if we check out the boot, so here we have a 390-litre boot. It's actually slightly smaller than before, but it's a usable boot, right? So we can definitely fit a big luggage and it won't clear the anti-choy length test, but it's a usable boot. However, this is a Honda, so if you do need more space, here we have what Honda calls its Ultra seat. So obviously they will fold nice and flat if you need. However, if you need even more space, you can simply flip this up and you have a nice big space to put all kinds of stuff. So you could fit one normal sized human here if you really need it. The Honda HR-V Hybrid is priced at $179,999. The 1.5-litre engine produces 105 brake horsepower and its electric motor produces 129 brake horsepower. The hybrid drivetrain outputs a combined 253 Nm of torque. The eCVT brings the car from 0 to 100 km/h in 10.7 seconds. For more details on the Honda HR-V Hybrid or any other car, head on to sgcarmart.com to help you make the smart choice on your next car. Now, from a passenger's perspective, first thing I want to say is that the door opening is actually bigger than before, so it's actually a lot easier and more comfortable to get into the rear. And here is definitely more spacious. I mean, if you compare the predecessor model, this is a notable improvement, right? So we have generous amounts of legroom for its size, and headroom is pretty decent as well. And it's a nice, comfortable interior. Now, in terms of amenities, we have rear aircon vents, as well as 2 USB-A ports. And of course, we also have ISOFIX points. Now, if I slide onto the middle seat, it's quite narrow and it's a little bit humped, so it's perhaps not the most comfortable to sit on, but the good thing is that the floor is pretty flat, so you can tuck your feet in quite nicely. So, this will fit a small to medium-sized child and, an adult at a stretch. But, it's a better rear cabin than before. It's definitely more spacious and more comfortable as well. Now let's go check out the front. Now here in the front of the HR-V, we have a pretty clean and functional cabin. So it's fairly recognizable from most modern Hondas, right? So you have your half digital instrument cluster and we have this infotainment system here. It's fairly simple, but the good thing is that you have wireless Apple CarPlay, so you can have access to things like your Spotify and your Google Maps as well. And one other thing that I do like is the fact that some of your controls here, they have a nice tactile quality, makes a nice click, 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 click sound, right? So that's nice. And we also have, 2 USB ports here with a HDMI port here. And yeah, in terms of materials, I will say that it's quite nice in some of your key touch points. Here, it's quite soft. And I also do like these fabric/leather seats. One other thing, if you look around the cabin, you'll see that the floor is all lined in this, well, I guess it's leather, it feels like leather and maybe sort of artificial leather, but it's nice, it adds a little bit of classiness to the space. So complaints about this space, not much actually. Honestly, the only thing that I'm slightly bugged by is the volume control. So currently the only way to adjust your volume is via this plus and minus buttons on the screen here. And it's just, I guess, a little bit out of reach. I would have liked maybe a knob here, or in a perfect world, some actual volume controls on the steering wheel. But beyond that, I don't really have many complaints about this interior. Now, let's go drive this car. Now, how does this HRV feel on the road? I must say I like that it is quite a supple ride, and I think that's a very notable improvement from the predecessor. So the predecessor model was kind of firm and slightly crashy in the way it rode, and I think this is a very significant improvement. So it soaks up bumps on the road well, and as a result it makes for a very comfortable drive. Also, I like that it's very quiet, so I'm doing like 60 on the highway now, and we can actually get into EV mode depending on your state of charge of the battery, etc. But as a result, then you get a very quiet driving experience. So I'm cruising along now and it's really quite quiet. So it's only if you really put your foot down that, yeah, the engine doesn't sound very good when extended hard, but you shouldn't be doing that much, right? You want to be driving this car in an efficient manner. In terms of efficiency, so I've been driving this car for a bit, I'm doing above 20 km per litre, so I think this actually makes it one of the most efficient cars in this compact SUV class, and that's a good number, right? I think it's proof that the hybrid system works. It does its job of providing you a much more efficient driving experience, and that's what you want out of a hybrid. So this HRV hybrid also uses the same HEV hybrid technology that we first found in the new Jazz, and I'm not really going to talk too much about the technicalities of how it works, so you can go and check out the Jazz video, because I spend quite a bit of time talking about how it works. But I think the main thing you need to know is that it makes for a very seamless experience, right? You don't think too much about it, it just works. You just drive it like a normal car and just leave the car to its own devices to figure out what's the best situation to pick the different driving modes, I suppose. Like now it's in EV mode, right? So the main thing, of course, is that it wants to be as efficient as possible. Now, let's talk a little bit about performance, right? So Honda doesn't actually quote an official combined output figure, because I think it's a little bit hard to figure out anyway because of the way the system is set up. But what we do know is that this has a maximum of 253 Newton meters of torque, and this car can go from 0 to 100 in 10.7 seconds. So it's quite a leisurely pace, I would say. Not super quick, but it's good enough for your daily runabout needs, right? Your occasional overtakes, etc., etc. We do know that LTA actually packs this car at above 130 brake horsepower, and that's kind of a problem, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, the HRV hybrid also comes equipped with a fair number of driver assistance systems as well. So we have cruise control, but we have radar cruise control as well, so you can set the distance between yourself and the car in front of you. And let me turn that on. And actually, if you hit this button on the steering wheel here, the car will then actually keep in the middle of the lane for you. So it will steer to make sure that you're in the middle of the lane. So that's very handy for, after a long day at work and you're just getting home on the highway. Just turn everything on, let the car do all the steering and braking, accelerating for you. And it's a nice sort of quality of life feature to have. So the new Honda HRV hybrid, is it a will buy, won't buy, or go try? Unfortunately, this is a won't buy, and that's because this car runs into a big problem. In this segment right now, it's a very, very competitive segment with a lot of options, and most of these other options are all Cat A models. So as a result, just from a price point perspective, I guess this HRV hybrid just loses out because it's a Cat B model, right? And that's automatically just going to make it $27,000 more expensive than any other car. Everything else sort of the same or equal. So that just makes it a hard sell. And it's not Honda's fault in any way, right? It's not that this car is so much more expensive or whatsoever, right? Honestly, I do think that if you ignore I mean, you can't ignore COE, but if you somehow can ignore COE and compare like for like, I think this is a very good car. I would take this over the non-hybrid version any day because I think it's spec slightly better, it drives as well, and obviously it's so much more efficient, right? So in the long run, you're gonna save a couple of bucks here and there. And I think it's a good car, right? It's a fundamentally good car, but one that I think it's kind of screwed over by the COE banding. So that's our review of the new HRV Hybrid. Do like and share this video and hit the notification bell so that you will be alerted of our upcoming videos. And also, please subscribe. The 79% of you watching that are not subscribed, please subscribe, right? And also do follow us on TikTok. We are at Sgcarmart. So that's all I have. I'll catch you soon. Bye! Hey everyone, welcome back to Sgcarmart Reviews. So today, again, 3, 2, radar cruise control, so you can set the distance between the car again, reasons to the model. Now if we check out the boot, I cannot remember the number, but